Hello, folks. Welcome to another episode of the eReads podcast. My name is Liz, if you're new here, and I'm an author, therapist, and creative wellness coach, helping folks move from stuck to started on their creative goals. And today, I am excited to tell you and welcome a special guest. We have Ro Lamb here, who is a creative who works and does comic books. And we're going to talk about wellness, right? We're going to talk about how do you create art? How do you continue to pursue entrepreneurship when the world and life gets heavy? And so please join the conversation and add your questions to the comments. Before I bring up Ro, good morning, just brief announcements. So if you're interested in sponsoring an episode of the eReads podcast, please use the link below. And during the next recording, your product, your launch, your business, we will shout that out. I think that's it. I don't think I have anything upcoming. Please check out the books. There are some short stories being released in February and in March. And that's all I have. And so, Ro. Hi, how are you?
Hello, hello, hello. How you doing?
Good, good, good. How are you on okay, I have to ask about the snow. So for y'all who don't know, we had this big snowstorm over the weekend. Like it is so much snow. Like, are you somewhere that got a lot of snow?
No, I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. So
Oh, nice.
so we got like a little ice, a little drizzle, a little freezing rain. You know what I mean?
I will listen, I used to be like, oh my God, all we get is ice. We don't get snow anymore. Listen, I won't say that anymore.
Right.
Bro, please introduce yourself to the community.
Well, hello everybody. My name is Ro Lamb. I'm a writer and storyteller from Atlanta, Georgia. I write comic books, novels, screenplays. If it involves words, I probably write it. And
I
yeah,
love
I'm
this.
happy to be here.
Awesome, absolutely. And we were going to talk about like how do you not get burnt out and stuff, create being a creative, especially when you have multiple hats like you do. But shifting the conversation a little bit to like how do you create when the world maybe makes you feel uninspired and maybe feels a little bit heavy. And so um kind of like how are you doing with everything that's been happening as far as really every day, every week it seems like it's something. Like how are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing okay. I think that, I've been thinking a lot about this because I think sometimes, I write fantasy, I write, superheroes and things like that. Sometimes I can start to feel like, what is the purpose of this? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm just playing make believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is this important? And I think it's important to remember, at least for myself, art, creativity has always been a part of the movement, right? A part of the resistance. And so when you think of people like James Baldwin, or you think of people like Toni Morrison, or you think of Octavia Butler, these were people who were writing in dire times, right? They were creating,
Mm-hmm.
they were, making poetry and writing essays and telling their stories. And there's something powerful, I think, about not just the escapism part, but also the way that messages can be conveyed through, fiction, you know what I'm saying? Through our imagination, right? There's so many issues that you can tackle in ways that are sneaky, you know what I'm saying? Where it's like you don't realize that I'm tackling this, but I am tackling it through the metaphor and the symbolism and all those type of things. And so that's what I think about as a part of my creative process. It's this may feel unrelated, but it's absolutely connected to my soul, and it's connected to the joy and the hardship and just all the gamut of emotions that you feel in these moments can go in those stories. You know what I mean?
1000%. And I love that. And that's what makes me excited about art and creativity and storytelling because absolutely. that framing of during that time, right? We didn't lose stories, especially by creatives of color and other marginalized community. Like they were still storytelling during all of that and weaving in sometimes like these beautiful images with really harsh things.
Right.
And so that we today can look back and say, wow, you navigated that. We can develop that empathy and that understanding. And I think that is the amazing thing about, again, art and creativity. Like you said, like you're able to talk about things um in a way. Sometimes it's like, wait a minute, are they talking about this? And then it like it can reach people that maybe you can't with words because they're very
Right.
just turned off or don't have that framework. But I think you can really create empathy and understanding. And we also have like the scientific research to show this. Like reading is a way of developing empathy and understanding, to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Like it helps to build that muscle. So I really get excited about art from, again, that perspective.
Yeah, yeah. And I also think too, for the writer, for the creator as well, we need that outlet. You know what I'm saying? I know for me sometimes I can't put
Yes.
into words what I'm feeling or what I'm thinking. And so sometimes, I'll start writing a poem or a story and not even know what it is
Mm-hmm.
until I get to the end, right? And so for both sides of it, the writer or the creator, because it's not just writing, but the
Yep.
creator and the receiver of the creation, you know what I'm saying? It can be beneficial for everybody involved.
1000%, because like there are sometimes through writing or creating I found the words to articulate what was going on. Like there's sometimes it's like there's just so much and it's like, how do I put what I'm feeling into words? And by
Right.
creating stories, like, that's how I'm feeling, I'm better able to articulate it. Like writing and creativity is so healing. And
Yeah.
again, it helps not only you, but like through your healing you're able to help someone else who, again, is feeling the same way, and maybe they don't have words, so they're not sharing or posting, but like you give them voice to say like, this is what I was feeling, and can articulate it.
Yeah, yeah, and I do want to know how you're navigating it as well. But I did want to throw this. I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember what the name of the podcast was, but they were talking about how sometimes writers can write something in their time and it not be for their time. They write
Mm,
something and nobody catches on to it. Nobody really, they're like, oh, whatever. And then after they're dead and gone, the next generation picks it up. And it's like, oh, this is so necessary for what we're going through. And so I think about that as well. It's like, if I
mm,
feel this story inside of me, if I feel something happening inside of me, I gotta make this happen. And even if once I make it happen and I put it out and people don't respond to it the way I think that they should, maybe
mm-hmm.
it's not for them, right? Maybe it's for two generations later. So I think that's also a part of the calculus for me as well.
Oh, I'm going to touch on that, and then I will answer your question about how I'm handling it. But like, yeah, I think that's so powerful, especially if you have like creator's gift in a sense, creator's guilt, where you may be feeling like, oh, how can I tell this story about love or fantasy during this time? But like,
Right,
that story needs to come out for a reason, and it may not be for us. Maybe it is for people who have forgotten because they're so removed, and they
right.
get to see that like. I think that's so powerful and a great reason to keep creating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then, for me, kind of seeing the trajectory of where things were going. I said I had to be very protective around my mental health. So for those who don't know, I'm a therapist by day, and then I write and storytell. And so there's a lot of being faced with opposition or being faced with hardship, I'll say, or, just trauma. And I started writing from a place of self-care. Like during the pandemic,
Mhm.
I was talking with a friend, and the question came up of like, was your current self-care enough? And at the time, it wasn't. It was just kind of like being in that space, pouring out, and again, just being in that space of hardship. Go to sleep, do the bare minimum, and start again. And so writing was like a sense of freedom. It was a sense of like making sure I was okay, and a sense of like, just again, like, are you okay to continue to do the work? And so I try and be really protective of that space, for the emotional. And then on the practical side, this is how I support myself,
Mhm.
and, as well as, again, the therapy. And so trying to balance that, trying to know like, okay, the mortgage is still due, the light bill
Mhm.
is still due, so I got to keep going. And so trying to balance that out by taking care of the physical way that this time impacts myself as well as the practical. So I try and just kind of do what I can, and knowing that as I'm able to care for myself, I can care for others. But if I'm not okay, then everything falls.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's totally relatable. I totally feel that.
Right. And like I'm curious as well, like, I see things all the time about like how do you continue to like market your business? How do you continue to create art during this time? And, you know, my thoughts are like, again, like mortgages still due, light bills still due, all these things. And so doing that and also creating a space to speak truth about what is happening and to do that, to not be avoidant of that. But
Yeah.
I'm curious what you're seeing in your creative communities. Like, how do you juggle both the necessity for income and wanting to change humanity, essentially?
Yeah, to me, in a lot of ways, that's a craft question because I
Mm.
think that for me at least, when I'm writing my stories, I do take into account what my theme is. I take into account what not necessarily what I'm trying to say, but what is the question that this work is asking. And
Ooh.
so with that, for me, when I'm selling my books or
Yeah.
I'm at a con or I'm pitching myself, I'm not just pitching, hey, check out this cool story I wrote. I mean, yeah, I think it's a cool story, but also I'm pitching a real life, truth or universal, or at least what I believe to be a universal, principle. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, for example, if we talk about like my book Scarlet Ranger, it's a story about a young man who inherits the title of Scarlet Ranger from his grandfather. The story picks up when his grandfather's greatest enemy breaks out of prison, and so we follow this young man as he's learning how to protect his family, protect the city, but ultimately protect the legacy that his grandfather left for him. Right. So,
Mm.
so that sounds like to me, it sounds like a cool story. But what it's really about is how do you honor the traditions that came before you, but
Yeah.
also be your own self and blaze your own trail, right? So
Mm.
to me, when I'm selling this book, I'm not just selling the superheroes of it because I need money. I'm not saying that that's a problem. I'm saying though, for me, I'm thinking about it from the standpoint of this book might actually help you, right? My creativity. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, what if we looked at creativity as service, right? Like what I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
creating is actually serving you. It's not just a selfish, like, oh, I get to write this and I get to put it out. Yes, that's fun and that's a part of it. But also, I actually truly believe that this will help you when you read it. I actually truly believe that this will make your life better. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
No, like I really like love that, and like thank you for that perspective and that reframe, because like uh, on the tail end, yeah, like creativity is service, right? Like for many folks, these, if not all creativity, like it's not just a painting, it's not just a story, like there is something beneath that, right? And for the people that need that messaging, whether it's like how to love after you've encountered a trauma, or again, like how do you have these two generations sharing space, like there is something within what we're saying to heal someone else. And I love that, like it is not just you're selling a comic to make money, you're teaching something, you're helping someone see what they needed, you're showing a spotlight. And seeing them together, I think, is really helpful, because again, like I see a lot of folks like the world needs their story because it does exactly that. It helps to create empathy in spaces where people may not gravitate to that. So like I just love that perspective.
Yeah, and it's for me, it's bigger than just selling books, right? When I go to comic book conventions, I've had multiple times where, a young man or a young woman will come to the table and they'll say, "Hey, how can I do what you're doing?
Mm.
How can I learn to do this?" I've had multiple conversations with, like I'm talking 8 years old to 14 years old to 12 years old, and it's like maybe my book won't change the world, right? But the fact that I can inspire this
Yeah.
this kid, right, or this this young man, this young woman to then write their story, maybe that might change the world, right? And
One
so
thousand percent.
yeah, so I think that I take all of that into account, and it's not just, oh, I'm just trying to pitch and sell myself. It's I'm trying to, and I have four sons, and so the other thing is I'm trying to model what it looks like to be the type of person that chases your dream, lives in your
Yeah.
purpose, and does the thing that you feel like you're called to do. And so again, it's bigger than just, oh, I need to make money. Again, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. We should make our money, but for me, the priority isn't necessarily let me get all this money in. It's so much bigger than that. You know what I mean?
1000%. And again, I think really these are great tools for combating that guilt around promoting again your creativity, your service, all of that, because like it continue to inspire people to keep going. It
Right.
inspires people to not stop dreaming. I do believe joy is a great tactic against resistance, right? Like they want you to lose joy. And so being protective of that, protecting other people's joy is a great way to be here and to not let the evilness win. And so it doesn't mean that things don't get heavy, but not losing that, not becoming bitter, not becoming um like the people you're again trying to reform. And so like I again appreciate that reframe of like it is bigger than that. It is about again encouraging and inspiring and healing others.
Yeah, and I do want to say you will have people who are going to not understand that.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, like I've been seeing it, right? How can you sell your work right now when all of this stuff is happening? How can you
Right.
do? And it's like, how can I not? Because again,
Right.
I have something that's bigger than just
Right.
superheroes, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually a part of the messaging
Mm-hmm.
that can change all of this. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that can be very intimidating. I know for myself, like when I think about that, I'm like, oh, I used to be really intimidated by that theme question.
Yes.
Well, what am I trying to say? Does it have to be? And it's like,
Right.
it's in my opinion, I think whenever you write something, whenever you create something, even if you don't intend to, your soul is going to leak into it.
One
Who you
thousand
are is
percent.
going to leak into it. And
Mm-hmm.
so embrace that. You know what I'm saying? I say embrace it.
Absolutely. And speaking of superheroes, and correct me if could be getting my history wrong, but like they were used during wartime to inspire and to influence. Like superheroes are very needed for now to again inspire a new generation and to keep going and to create impact.
Absolutely. Nothing is created in a vacuum. You know what I'm saying? And so everything that we're seeing is a reflection of the culture, right? You read a comic book or you watch a movie from the 60s or the 70s,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to reflect to you what that culture was. It's going to reflect.
Yes.
And then you could do that in different places, right?
Mm-hmm.
You read something from the 70s in Russia, it's going to reflect what was happening in Russia. You read something
Absolutely.
from Brazil, it's going to reflect that culture. And so um even if you don't have again, you may not know what that theme is. Those writers may not know what they were saying
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, but the fact that they wrote it and they have a perspective one way or another, there's a perspective in there. um that's what it's about. That's what it boils down to in my mind.
Yeah, especially like when you think about how history and things are being rewritten or removed or all of these things to see from that creative, right? This untainted thing, right? Of like, this is a piece of what was, it's a time capsule essentially, right? It's like
Right.
we're all depositing things in a time capsule of what is happening.
Exactly.
And I think that is, especially now, again, when we're seeing the erasure of things, it's so important to have those moments.
Right, absolutely, I agree for sure.
Absolutely. And tell us a little bit about your creative journey. Like, did you always know you were going to go into storytelling and comics and in that vein, or did you fall upon it? Like, what was that journey like?
Yeah, so I could read when I was 3 years old. Like my mom tells stories about me like reading the newspaper when I was like three. So like I could read like when I was really young. And so I've just always gravitated to words and reading
Mm-hmm.
and stories. I mean, when I was a kid, I used to sit and just read the encyclopedia. Like that was the type of person I was. And I tell people I've been writing for as long as I can remember. And my mom, I said that to my mom or around my mom one time, and she told me about this story that I wrote. So I mean, I don't remember writing the story. It was about like a rich cracker that was trying to like get across the road. The rich cracker gets across the road and then falls in a puddle. It was like like this crazy story. Um, but I've just been writing and creating stories for forever. Like it's just something that I've loved to do. And I had a lot of stops and starts, like working on a novel. I would
Mm-hmm.
start a novel, then I would stop, then I would start another novel, and I would stop. And then I came across, I was reading comic books and enjoying that. And then I realized, like, wait, oh, people write these. Like, people don't just draw these. Like, there's actually writers behind this. So then I was like, maybe I should write a comic book just because I knew I wanted to be a novelist. That was my first dream. But I was like, I could do 24 pages. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could write like a comic book. I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I just shifted to writing comic books. And so that was sort of my trajectory. I've always, whenever I've encountered, I remember I was at a basketball game and I was sitting next to a guy, he's a little older than me, and he was writing in a notebook. And I said, bro, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm just writing poetry. I'm like, you're writing poetry? I said, hold on, let me try that. So I started writing poetry. So whenever I encounter like writing or words, I'm like, maybe I could do that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So yeah.
I love that. And it's a great reminder of like what is in you and it has
Yeah.
to come out. Like imagine the anxiety and things that would happen if you didn't allow that to come out, if you didn't allow yourself to be. I think that is such a great lesson of like explore the parts of you that are trying to grow. Like that's a
Yeah.
great inspiration.
Yeah. And I think the thing about that too is I feel like sometimes we mistake like that feeling of that fear or like that anxiety around it. We mistake that for, oh, that means I shouldn't do it.
Yes, speak
And
about that.
sometimes that feeling means you just really, really care about it. Like you just really, really love it. And I think that's what I had to learn to do was I was so like anxious about writing. So I'm reading books and I'm looking at
Yep.
resources. I'm trying to learn structure. I'm doing all this stuff that's not writing, trying to get it right. And it's like, hold on. Like you just gotta write. You know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things I've learned
1000.
too. The best way to learn how to write is to actually write. Because you can
1000.
read the craft books and all that stuff and it sounds great. But once you actually get in there and you're sitting in front of the page, it's like, hold on. All the stuff that they said is not necessarily working for me. You know what I'm saying? And so you gotta figure out that
1000%.
balance. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Like again, like you could read the craft books, but you're still going to start out with a terrible first draft. Like it's still not going to be perfect. Like that, you have to over time refine it, refine it, refine it. It really is a muscle, right? You can watch all the workout videos you want, but you still are going to struggle and have to lift 5 pounds and then 10 and then keep growing from there. And I think that's a great example. And absolutely, that fear, people stop when you have to complete it, because that helps you to know, like, oh, this is the difference between a stop fear and oh, I'm really passionate about this. I care about this. And
Right.
that only comes from that experiential learning. And so 1000%. And like, did you ever struggle with imposter syndrome? What was that journey like for you?
Um, I don't know if I've struggled with imposter syndrome per se. I mean, I do think there are, I, and maybe this is imposter syndrome. I wouldn't have called it imposter syndrome, but I think like let's take this conversation for example, right? Before I get on here, I'm thinking to myself, what do I really know about? What do I really know about this? Yeah, you know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, what?
Yes.
What do I really know anything about what she gonna ask me about? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So I think about imposter syndrome from that perspective.
Hmm.
Somebody might ask me, "Hey, how do you run your Kickstarters?" You know what I'm saying? It's like, what do I really? Even though I've run like four successful Kickstarters, it's like, do I know anything
First of
about
all,
this?
for a successful Kickstarter is amazing. And the fact that you still have that question, like I feel like, who? Because like yes, like you're like, how do you write a book? Do I know? Like there's
Right, right,
I love that this is why I love talking to creatives because like there are so many similarities between all of us, you know, whether you are just starting out or you've been in the business a while. Like, and I think to your point, like that is the passion of it. Like when you care about something, you want it to be the best and you're always in a space of learning. And I think that's the difference. I think imposter syndrome or that voice may never go away, but it shifts. Like you just recognize it and you're just like, okay, this means I'm still invested in it. This means I still care. Who was it? Was it Denzel or somebody was talking about still having imposter syndrome or something
yes,
like that? Yes.
yes, yes. I'm like, you, Denzel, stop it.
Right. But like that is just a show of like, oh, like you care about
You
this.
care
You're
about it.
invested in this. And like I think that framing changes versus this means I can't do it to like, okay, I'm still passionate about this. And
Right,
it changes to a drive.
right, right, right. And real quick, I did want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
mention, going back to what we were talking about with the craft books.
Yes.
I think that some of when you read a craft book, I'll speak for myself. I didn't realize that when I'm reading a craft book, I'm reading what somebody else is detailing their process. And so if you try to do somebody else's process exactly, you're going to realize that
Hmm.
it's not that it doesn't work for them, it just might not work for you. You know what I'm saying? I was listening
Hmm.
to another podcast and they were talking about Bruce Lee. And they were talking about how Bruce Lee used to talk about how when you learn like a new fighting style, you got to know there are certain things that your body is not going to be able to do like their body does. So you have to
Mm.
adapt the fighting style to what your body can do because your bodies are not the same. And I think that's the key, right? When you read these craft books, for me at least, I take everything in and then I say, okay, cool, what's going to work for me and what's not going to work for me. So when I sit down to write and I'm like, well, they say I should do this here. They say I should go left here. I don't really feel that. I'm gonna keep going straight. You know what I'm saying?
You better
Oh, you know
preach.
what I mean? Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
I wish I knew that earlier because I almost gave up because I'm like, I
Right.
can't fit into this box that they're trying to put in. I have such a strong pull to do this, but it's going to be wrong. And that was the wrong way to think about it. They're detailing their process, what worked for them. You got to take what resonates with you
Yeah,
and apply it.
yeah.
And that's for anything, whether it's business, you know, like all these things. Like be inspired by people's life, but you still have to make it your own because
Absolutely.
you know, and then that's gonna again, you're gonna inspire someone else and they're gonna take it, and like that's how continued growth keeps happening. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I wish I wish someone would have told me that sooner.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So okay, you have done four Kickstarters. You have amazing projects going on. Like what's happening currently? What's coming up? What do you have going on?
Yes. So I am working on my first novel. I've been working on this novel for about probably about 5 or 6 years now.
Wow.
And I've picked it up, I put it down, I picked it up, I put it down. And last year I just said, I gotta get this thing done. I have to finish this. Because again, I've been writing comic books. I have 2 issues of Scarlet Ranger. The third is on the way. And so I've been doing different things in that lane. And I'm like, man, let me go ahead and write this novel. So I'm on the fourth draft of that. Um, and actually I just started. I've been trying to figure out how I want to like reintroduce and use my Patreon. So I
Hmm.
think what I'm gonna dedicate my Patreon entirely. Not I think I know I'm dedicating that entirely to the Unveiling Stars. That's the name of the book. That's the name of my first novel. Um, and
Nice.
so I'm working on that. I'm 36,000 words into my fourth draft and planning to publish that at the end of this year. Um,
Let's go.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's my major. I have some other things, some other irons in the fire that I'm, working on and writing and collaborating with other people. But that's my main thing that I'm really want to get done in 2026. So
Awesome. And if folks, if you're like, I want to get into Patreon, please check out the episode show notes. That's going to have all the information and where to find Rolam.
Yes, yes.
So end of this year, so like are we getting the Kickstarter for this novel? You going straight to like Amazon KDP? Like what can we get anything in the behind the scenes?
Yeah, so I am still deciding how I want to do this. I know I'm going to use Kickstarter in some form or fashion. But I just don't know what that's going to look like. Um, but so my birthday is December the 8th. So I think on December
Happy
the
late
8th,
birthday.
thank you, thank you. I think on December the 8th, I'm thinking of launching that Kickstarter on my birthday,
Nice.
and going from there. So that's the plan. I don't know exactly what it's going to be yet. So I'm sort of flying by the seat of my pants a little bit, but we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
I love it. And listen, I can't wait to like hear more. Like any tips for creatives that are just like, wow, like, you're living the dream, right? You have Kickstarters, you have stories, you have novels, and if they're just like, I just don't know where to start. Like, what would you tell these like young creatives?
Yeah, I would say start anywhere. I would say so. I will never forget. I was sitting in Black Panther. Was that 2000? When did Black Panther come? 2014, maybe something like that. I don't know.
Child, I couldn't even tell you, but
I'm
yeah, like, yeah.
I'm sitting in
Yeah.
Black Panther, and
Hmm.
I'm looking. I'm watching the movie. I'm watching Chadwick, and I'm like, yo, I can do this. Like
I
maybe
love
not
it.
on this level, but I could do this.
Yes.
And I walked out of the theater, and I said, I'm gonna do this. And I got home and I got a random like color wheel thing.
Hmm.
And I spun the color wheel, it landed on red. I said, okay, cool, we going with Scarlet. Scarlet what? Scarlet what? Let's say Ranger. Scarlet Ranger. All right, cool. That's the name. We're not changing it, we're not moving it. It's the Scarlet Ranger. And I just started writing it. That's the comic book series. I started writing it, started putting it together. I hired a team. I had an artist, an editor. I had all the things that fell apart. So I had to, regroup and say, look, it's still Scarlet Ranger. Let me get this right. Got a new team. And we did our first Kickstarter in 2019,
Hmm.
2019 or 2020, somewhere in there. Um, and I got it out. And I think that we can get so caught up in trying to have the right start that we don't
Yeah.
start. And so, again, I would just say start anywhere. Pick an idea, pick something. You don't got to throw all your ideas out, but just put them in a folder somewhere. Pick one and say, "I'm not stopping until I get this done." Because the other thing
Yes.
is, there's such a momentum behind you finishing something,
Yes.
and so you have to. In my opinion, I don't like saying you have to, but I really do believe this. You have to finish something. If it's a short story, if it's a flash fiction piece, if it's whatever it is, you gotta finish something because once you finish it, then you can begin to see, okay, this is what I need to do to actually finish my next thing. You know what I'm saying?
1000%, and I totally agree. I don't believe in a lot of have tos in this space, but you have to like read or consume art, and you have to finish because not only does it help your craft, but like those internal things, like there's a lot of internal struggles that you have to overcome when you're creating, like just that voice of you can't do this, you don't have permission to do this, all these things. And when you complete it, you have given yourself something concrete to say, I thought I couldn't do whatever it is, and I've done it. What else can I now do? And
What
it
else can I
gives you
now
that
do?
momentum. So, like, you have to finish. I don't care, like you said, it could be a short story, it could be a sentence, something, but finish so that way you have something concrete to say. Yeah, my mind, the world, all these people said I couldn't do it. I've done it. Now I can keep going.
And it also gives you something to put in people's hands. It gives you something to be able to say, this is what I did.
Mm-hmm.
As a creative, it can be so easy to get into well, yeah, I'm working on this, I'm working on that, because honestly, that feels good, right? It feels good if somebody says, "Hey, what you working? Oh, well, I'm working on this thing right now. I'm just trying to get all the things right, and I'm trying to." It's like, yeah, that feels great for sure. But when you have something finished, and you can
Yes.
say, "Well, actually, I just finished this, that, and the third. Check it out. Let me know what you think." There's something so powerful. I didn't want to use the word
Yeah.
powerful, but there's something powerful about being able to say, this is what I finished, check it out. And now I'm working on this. But this is complete. You can look at this. So yeah.
1000%. Like again, it does something internally and externally. Again, like you're able to build that muscle of sitting with feedback, to have that validation of like, okay, that didn't suck. People like that. They got it. It builds a sense of community, which is necessary because you vulnerably put yourself out there. And so to have someone receive it positively, it is that is it's powerful, and it builds that momentum because you've done the hard part, like you've put yourself out there. Now you can do the fun part and create again.
Yeah. And that's the other piece too that I want to add to what I said,
Mm-hmm.
because I do think starting small is good too. So start
Mm-hmm.
anywhere, but also start small. Because what
Mm-hmm.
I left out of my story was that Scarlet Ranger was not the first comic book that I did. The first comic book that I did was it was a 10-page comic book, black and white, that I put on my website. That was the first thing that I did, and that artist that did that became the artist for Scarlet Ranger. But
Mm.
doing the 10 pages allowed me, one, again, it was cheaper than trying to do
Mm-hmm.
24 pages. Two, it allowed me to see what my process would be.
Mm-hmm.
Three, it allowed me to show people, hey, this is what I did. Let me know what you think. It's a
Mm-hmm.
complete story in 10 pages. And it also gave me confidence that, oh yeah, I know I can do this. Like, cause people liked it. People,
Mm-hmm.
that was cool. What else you got? So then it was like, okay, cool. Let me do this next thing. So yeah, start small, start anywhere, start now. That's what I would say. Start small, start anywhere, start now.
I love that, and I think that's a great place to pause because again, like you gave us a lot of great inspiration to start this week off with, and to be grounded and not dismissive of the importance of what we do, right? Our creativity, our art, we're not just creating escapism, we're creating moments for the future, and overcoming those internal obstacles, the doubt, even um people thinking, like you said, oh, how can you promote that in a time like this? Like, the world needs it. The world needs your joy, your creativity, your stories, your resistance. And storytelling is a great way to make big ripples when it feels like you're helpless. So thank you for sharing, your insights.
Thank you so much, Liz. I appreciate you. I appreciate the energy you bring to social media and
Thank
to
you.
everything that you're doing. You're truly, truly an inspiration. And thank you so much for having me. It's been great chopping it with you.
Absolutely. Y'all have a great, wonderful rest of your week, and we will see you on the next time. Bye.
Love y'all.